This episode is brought to you by BeWaterSmart.info. It may be fall, but it's still important to be water smart. Make sure your irrigation is off or adjusted for cooler, wetter weather. And did you know fall is a great time to plant your water-wise and drought-tolerant California natives? Planting now gets them established before the heat of the summer arrives. For a list of plants and more water-saving tips and tricks, visit BeWaterSmart.info.
Look at that plant. I want you to know that everything was grown in my garden. Don't touch that plant!
Is it poisonous?
She'll become part of the plant.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Flower Power Garden Hour. I'm your host, Marlene.
And I'm your co-host, Bruce.
And this is your February to-do list and question and answer episode. And I will say, oh my gosh, it's February already.
February already?
Oh my, say it isn't so.
Rabbit.
But it is February already. And in my opinion, and it's the truth, it is spring. What have you seen blooming that makes you think it's spring?
Oh, I've seen, I wouldn't say blooming yet, but the daffodils are in bud, as are the hyacinths.
I have some daffodils at home in bloom, and the saucer magnolia at work that I absolutely love is already breaking bud. And I already passed by some like prunus, like fruit trees in bloom.
Yeah, I've noticed my nectarine/peach tree those buds are swelling.
Yeah.
And the kiwi buds are swelling. And actually I do have a daffodil that's been in bloom intermittently since October. It sends them multiple spikes. It's a great one to have. Yeah,
because the narcissus, the small paper whites, those start like in December outside even. But
right.
Yeah. So yeah, it is spring. That doesn't mean chance of frost has passed. Doesn't mean, of course, rain has passed. It just means days are getting longer. Temperatures overall are getting warmer. We've had a heck of amount of fog this year, so I can see that continuing. I remember very, very wet Marches where we get most of our rain, but overall, I just like the longer days and the overall warmer daytime temps. Still the chance of frost is there until I think beginning of March.
Yeah, I think, of course, where you live, it's probably into mid-March is my guess.
True.
Would you say?
Yeah.
And
true.
Where I live, we haven't had a frost yet.
I've had ice on my windshield, I want to say 4 times since October, which is the least amount in the past, I want to say 10 years.
Wow.
So we've had that fog cover, which has kept daytime temperatures really low, but nighttime temperatures more mild than freezing. So yeah, I always equate like, oh, going to work. Oh, I need to like get, ice off of my window. So,
and I would say that this year it hasn't, needless to say, it hasn't been frost, but it's been a rot year.
Oh yeah.
Like I have banana trees and normally, there'll be a few leaves left. They're rotted off.
Yeah. Cause it's so wet. Yeah. I went to, Gianluca, my friend Gianluca, who was just on the episode about Welwitschia, and he was, he grows rare succulents and he's out in Sonoma, but the fog is just causing so many fungal issues on some of his plants, and he can't control it. He thinks it's botrytis, but yeah, when you have constantly wet, certain plants are not going to be happy with that.
Right. I mean, and I've had tuberous begonias that usually I just would leave them in the pots. And they would get wet in the winter, but it wouldn't matter. But some of them have rotted out.
Yeah. So there's always, every year it's different. But let's talk about what, for the most part, you should do in February. And once again, this is coming from our zone 9B. If you're in a different zone, this is going to vary either almost completely or just a little bit. But do check your zone. So we're going to get started. Let's get started with vegetables to plant. And what are you going to plant?
Well, I've got lettuce still going in. In fact, I have started some lettuce seeds because the ones I planted in the ground didn't make it. And so that's a good thing to put in now. And you can still put in some of your cole crops like Chinese cabbage, onions going in now, although this year I'm not doing onions because I can't finish them off fast enough and they start to go bad. So I have a garage filled with onions.
Oh, bad onions. They've got like switchblades and.
Yes, they're bad.
They're bad.
And they stink when they're bad.
There you go in the garage and they're like, get out of here. We're gonna shank you. Damn, my onions have gone bad.
Yeah. So, but what's really nice is that even though they're sprouting and they're starting to get a little soft, I'm getting an unlimited supply of scallions. Even in the dark garage, they still green up.
Yeah.
Which I always find interesting.
Yeah. I was going to say something. I completely forgot about what I was going to say. Oh, I know. You talked about your lettuce the other day and you said it didn't make it. And I said, most likely, and I mean, most likely, I think it came up. So this is the problem with planting certain little seedlings. And I always find the winter more so is that they're vulnerable to pests. So sometimes if you plant seed, it's not that they haven't come up. It's things have gotten to them before you even realize. So
I think that's probably true.
Snails and slugs. Yeah. And then believe it or not, birds love to rip out winter like veggies. So always cover them. I always just take like an old nursery flat with holes and turn it over so it allows light through, but the birds can't get to it.
That's a good idea. I will say that last year I planted lettuce seeds and indirectly and got tons of them seed sprouting. But then by the time they start to mature, I'll get 2 or 3 plants per group, which means out of 40 seeds, 30 seeds that might have sprouted, 2 or 3 live.
Yeah.
So I think that makes sense what you're saying. And of course, lettuce, when you get these packets of seed, usually they're stingy, but not with lettuce.
Yeah.
And
I know.
Most of them sprout. So it really actually is okay to start them outside, but just plant a lot more than you think you're going to need. So because most of them will die.
I have a confession to make about why I'm not planting loose leaf lettuce anymore. And this is starting the amount of when I harvest it, the amount of, I don't treat anything, amount of snails and slugs on it. All it takes is one slug on it. And, you wash it, but as you're washing the slugs and snails in your sink. And I'm just gagging. It's so
and I've grown Brussels sprouts and it's the same thing that the base, especially what I was growing was getting a lot of them at the base, and you had to peel them at least halfway because of all those little mini snails and slugs.
Yeah, aphids don't bother me, but the other day I was gifting a cabbage to someone's a friend's parents, and I always pull off the outer leaves because they get a little discolored. But then you have, where you cut it is the stem, and I'm washing it and there's just earwigs coming out. And literally at one moment, this earthworm comes just like sliming out. And all I could think about is it looked like the snake coming out of the skull eye in like Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I was gagging again. And I'm just like, I'm like, this is so gross. The amount of like insects that come out sometimes, like aphids, I'm totally fine. Like I will, like artichokes, I will just boil the aphids away and eat the aphids. I don't know. But like if it's slimy, I'm just like, so.
I agree. I think though irony is not the right word, but the interesting thing is that if we buy a vegetable from the store and we get that, we are disgusted and we bring it back or we throw it out. But if we take it out of our garden, we'll just clean it off because, darn it, we grew it and we put that time into it. And I'm not throwing it out unless I have to.
It is, but I will admit, sometimes I'm ripping leaves off of say a Chinese cabbage that I've grown. And I'm like, by the time I rip all the leaves off to see what insects are there, there's going to be none. Not that there is, but I'm just like, and I don't mind eating insects. I don't like seeing them slime out. The earthworm was pretty gross. It just came out like, I'm just like, really? Yeah. Even earwigs are better.
Especially the ones that we used to call bloodsuckers, which are the really big long ones.
Yes, that's what it was. Thank you. Yeah. Anyways, okay. So let me you're correct. I'm not saying you're wrong about what to plant, but and this is the Sacramento Master Gardener's Planting Guide is still what I think the best guide to go through and literally what I follow because can I remember all this all the time? Heck no. I sort of have an idea, but sometimes I'm like, what? So In February, you could still do beets, and that means direct sow in the ground, or if you find starts in the nursery. Broccoli, start your plant. You could do another round of broccoli. Like I started back in August. But broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage, you could do a second round right now. It's still cool enough. You plant it and you'll get it before the heat comes. So broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, if you find plants, plant them. Carrots,
Right.
direct seed. Chard is pretty much any year round. They don't really care. Collards, direct seed or plant. Same with kale. Same with kohlrabi. Same with lettuce. Loose leaf lettuce does better because head lettuce, it's a little hard to form here. Peas, seed, or if you find plants, but really seeds are the easiest. And of course,
Yeah, I don't
radishes.
recommend plants
Yeah.
for peas.
Leeks also as well. I let mine go last year. I'm close to harvesting. I'm wondering if they're going to be so hard because I didn't harvest them. I've never
Yeah,
let
if
them
they go
go.
to flower, then they'll be pretty corky.
Yeah, corky. Corky or corky. And of course, you can start your peppers, eggplants, and tomatoes inside by seed right now. Don't direct sow them in the ground because it's way too cool, but start them inside your peppers, eggplants, and tomatoes. And just, so those are your vegetables that you could plant right now. And really, we still have a chance of frost, so you don't want to plant anything that's frost sensitive. So I wouldn't do citrus or avocados or your plumerias or certain salvias or anything that could be possibly frost sensitive. You can start planting natives and perennials that really don't care about the cold, but of course.
Right.
I don't know how wet most people's ground. I know we had students come out to weed a certain area in the garden. It was a really well draining garden, and I had them use the hula hoe, but it was still too wet. So if your ground is like when you dig it up and the soil comes out in chunks, don't work it. It's too wet. Let it dry out. So that goes with planting as well.
Yeah, it's very interesting how mucky the water, the soil gets here without a tremendous amount of water. That it's just like saturated. It doesn't seem to drain as well as eastern soils.
Oh, eastern soils are so much better.
Well, I will say this. Because of the amount of humus that goes into the soils there, because of the amount of trees, you do get a more composty soil. But where I'm from on Long Island, most of the most of the developments are over old farms. So it may or may not be good soil. They may have taken the topsoil away and sold it when they put the houses in.
See, I just picture it being by the beach, so I picture it being more of sand. But that's not true. Okay.
Really
I'm
not.
wrong.
It's not a sandy soil, although it depends on where you are. The north shore of Long Island has more rockiness to it because that's where the glaciers ended. And the south shore is not as rocky.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we're very clay where we're at, and soils differ so much. If we were to go an hour east, I know when I give talks there, people are complaining about how rocky it is. We have no rocks. And if I were to go give a talk in central Sacramento, people have beautiful loamy soil because of the river runoff. So it's really, soil changes. It could change from, block to block, really, where you're
from
at.
Front to back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we know that even in your own area, it can. But yeah, never work wet soil. So if you're digging it up and you definitely hear that sound, that's definitely too wet to work. But even if you're digging up and you can't break the clumps up easily, it's really looks like you're forming bricks, then just don't work it. Don't plant it yet.
Now, let's say, why shouldn't I work wet soil? What's going to happen if I do?
Well, I mean, the number one thing for me is I know when I dig up and then I break apart the soil, but the parts that I'm like, oh, well, this root ball filled in and I have all this extra soil. If I just leave it on top of the soil, it's a brick. It doesn't crumble. It doesn't crumble back. It's just airspace. That's the main thing is airspace.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was getting at.
Well, I know that's where you're getting at, but I was telling you, for me.
Well, I was just doing it. I thought, I'm going to ask you a question now. But yeah, that's exactly it. That you compact the soil and then get rid of the air spaces, and it makes it even more brick-like come summer.
Yeah, so you're losing airspace, and roots need oxygen. And
Right.
yeah, and clay soils, the reason they're clay is their particles are very small and already they have less airspace. So when you step on it or dig it, and digging compresses it and it's smooth, when you dig in, you see that side of the side of the hole is very smooth. You've just compressed it. So you've gotten rid of airspace. And then so just it's difficult to work, and then that's the reason why. So
Right.
but it's still, if it's dry enough, you can plant. And I do want to mention also that your flower seeds, it's a time to plant your flower seeds.
I was going to go up to that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm doing. Go ahead. What are you planting?
Oh, I was
Flower
going to say
seeds?
begonias and geraniums if you really want to
Oh.
get a lot of those in some
Oh.
different colors and in bulk at a cheaper price, especially with geraniums, now's the time.
And you're talking true geraniums, not pelargoniums.
Oh, I'm
Geraniums.
actually talking
You
pelargoniums.
are talking pelargoniums.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I know that's typically when you see them in the stores here, they actually do label them pelargoniums.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about,
Okay.
that they can be grown from seed.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
I've done it, but they're slow. It's good
Yeah.
12 weeks
Yeah.
or more.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And begonias the same thing.
Are you doing other? Because I know you plant oddball things sometimes.
This year, I am actually not doing pelargoniums because I'm trying to do a garden that's a little bit with more unusual plantings, and I'm really working on a lot of South African things.
Yeah. Okay.
But I've done pelargoniums in the past, and it's like you're not going to have if you start them in February, you're actually already too late.
Yeah.
But
That's
if
funny you
start-
mentioned you're doing South African stuff, because when I think of pelargoniums, I think of South African pelargoniums.
Oh, true. But I'm really more talking the what we used to call geraniums.
Yes, got it. And I'm going the opposite way. This past month, I've ripped out these raised beds that were sort of falling apart, and I did because I needed to protect from gophers. Now that I have so many cats, I don't have a gopher problem. They're falling apart. The irrigation didn't work. I ripped them all out. I bought a whole bunch of cut flower seeds, and I'm going to turn the whole front area into a cut flower mecca.
And that's going to be fun.
Yes. And so I've already started zinnias.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then my friend who wants to do this with me, she's obsessed with that Floret Farmer gal on Instagram who does amazing work. I mean, grows amazing cut flowers, but she sells dahlia seeds.
Yes.
So we sow dahlia seeds, where I'm a big dahlia tuber fan. So I ordered dahlia tubers, and I dug up a whole bunch of dahlia tubers, but we started dahlia seeds, and they've already come up.
And dahlia seeds are very easy to grow. Dahlia plants are very easy to grow from seed.
Yeah.
You get a lot of variety, and you're not necessarily going to get the beautiful giant double flowers, but on the other hand, that's how you might get one oddball out of all the 100 that you plant. One will be nice, and that'll be the one you'll keep for the long term.
Yeah, and it's much cheaper because dahlia tubers are not
Getting
cheap.
expensive.
Yeah, they're pretty dang expensive, especially for the dinner plate ones that I've ordered. Those are coming. So when you order the dahlias, which you could still order, some of them are out of stock.
Right.
But they ship them to you when they're ready to plant in your zone. And so I think mine are coming in March because we could plant dahlias in March. But so I'm doing cut flower seeds, which you could sow now, but you do have to be ready because mine already came up within a week. They're under grow lights, and I'm going to bulk them up inside. And I really want a short outdoor duration and then get them into the ground quick. So I'm prepping the garden in that area for it.
I'm surprised you're starting zinnias now because zinnias grow so fast.
I think
I'd be afraid to start them now.
I know. Well, they could grow almost year round. I think they'll be fine. They love the heat. They do love the heat. So we'll see. But normally they reseed. And once they start popping up, that's sort of like, if they're fine popping up. So they usually pop up in the garden this time of year.
Oh.
So also I haven't started yet, but Cosmos, the Daucus, which is a carrot relative, Celosia, amaranth.
Celosias are fun.
Yeah, amaranth, Um, what else?
Oh,
I'm trying not to do too much of a
strawflowers.
variety. Oh, not so. Okay, so in my garden, in my vegetable garden, I have straw flowers. No, not straw flowers. I have bachelor's buttons that just reseed like insane amounts, and Nigella that just reseeds, and those are very early. Like those are just come up and are done. But straw flowers are amazing. They go really long.
Yeah. Oh, I had them until after my zinnias got powdery mildew. I still had some strawflowers there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and I'm also doing Lysianthus seeds, which are really difficult to get started from seed. But technically they can. I've talked to a few cut flower growers, and they can be grown as perennials.
Oh, yes. In fact,
Mine
my
haven't.
understanding is they are perennials.
Well, I mean, I guess my areas, I just always threw them in with vegetable gardens. But they're so pretty. But
now,
they're
those
finicky
tend to
to
just
start.
bloom and they're done. Is that correct?
No, I think they could keep going. I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've grown them a little bit here and there. But starting from seed is going to be a new thing for me.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah. So
And
we're
you
going to
know,
do a whole episode on seed starting.
and I think just one quickie thing on the everlastings. There's two types of status. There's the annual and the
Yes.
perennial.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have the annual in the garden, and it's been thriving all winter long. Not blooming, but setting up spikes that are just ready to go.
Wow.
Which surprised me because
Yeah.
it did not like the summer weather.
Yeah.
But once it cooled down, they just thrived.
Yeah. There's some plants that you're like, they really aren't happy until those temperatures dip down a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why there are some annuals that we really don't
Mhm.
grow well here.
No.
Like I love salpiglossus, which is a
Oh,
relative
yeah.
of the petunia,
Oh,
but
my
they like
God.
it cool. And the
Ugh.
seeds are only available in the spring. So you
Oh,
got to
my
buy
God.
now for starting for the fall.
That was the cover, I think, of Select Seeds this year.
Yes.
Yes. And I almost fall for it every year because it's so gaudy and beautiful.
Oh, and
Oh,
we used to, in the Arboretum back east, we used to start them, I don't know when, but we'd grow them for a spring
uh-huh.
flower display. That and
Oh,
delphiniums were grown for the flower
oh,
displays. And,
yeah.
it was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. I'm like, how dare you put that on the cover of the magazine and send it out and send it to our zone and taunt us
Right.
with that? There should be different covers. It's like, plant porn. It's the unattainable. I can't have this.
And I almost sent away for some too, but
Of
I
course.
think it might be a good winter flower for us.
Maybe it might be like nasturtiums where it does better in the winter.
Yeah.
Maybe we should try it.
I think maybe we'll have to order
Yeah.
some.
Okay. Okay. So we're talking about things buds breaking, but my nectarine, my peaches haven't in the orchard at work haven't bloomed yet. The buds haven't broken, so you could still get a spray in of I do copper. For peach leaf curl and other fungus, so you can get another spray in.
And that is on my list too, and I haven't done it yet, so I better do it tomorrow.
Yeah, I say do it. I think at the orchard at work, I think I did it for the first few years, and then I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore. I just don't. I don't have. There's no one else to do it except for me, and I don't have time.
Right.
So we'll just see. And if you have other pest diseases, you could spray an oil that will help smother some overwintering insects. Spray your grapevines, spray your roses with an oil with copper if you have any fungal issues. Speaking of roses, you could still prune your roses. If you haven't pruned them already, you could still prune your grapevines.
Yeah, in fact, at the garden down in Acme, they have the rose garden. They do most of their pruning in February.
Yeah, I think it's still like beginning of March. So yeah, definitely prune it. If you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to get to it. I used to prune my roses every 2 years. I still prune. I mean, there are some rose bushes I just don't prune.
And the reality is, you can even prune them in summer if you have to.
I know.
But I would say this on rose pruning, from going to the rose garden, the McKinley Park Rose Garden, I learned that when you prune your roses, it's not just a matter of cutting them haphazardly down.
Oh, no.
You want to make sure that you cut to a bud that faces outside the plant so that the new growth is directed outside and not inside.
Yeah, and then there's the rules of cutting back to like 3 or 4 major canes, making sure
Right.
you prune out anything that's dead.
And that things that are crossing into the plants you want to get rid of.
Yeah, and of course anything my big thing is I don't like to grow anything grafted onto rootstock. I like its own stock roses.
Right.
So I usually don't have to worry about rootstock. But if you have grafted roses, which is almost 99%, 100% what you find in nurseries is grafted, then you could prune that any time of year.
And the reality is that for some areas it's worth it. For areas that get very, very cold, sometimes they'll benefit from it. But for us, we don't need grafted roses here.
No, I think that I think they do it for just quick growing. I really don't know why, because it's not like they're healthier. In fact, I find I've had more virus issues with grafted roses and more problems with grafted roses because that's an extra wound.
Right. And not only that, but then you get the graft sprouting from the base.
Yeah.
And sometimes the top dies out and you have just a graft
the
base
red rose.
growing. And at least when you grow an own root rose, that doesn't happen.
No,
Whatever
you don't have to
comes
worry
up
about
is your
that.
rose.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that. And definitely do clean up around anything that is suspect of being disease. If you've had fungal leaf spot, if you've had peach leaf curl, if you still haven't cleaned anything up, clean up those leaves, clean up all the mummies. You don't need to clean up everything. We're sort of leaning the other way where it used to be clean up everything, but you can leave debris. But if you're worried about disease, clean that up. Divide any plants like grasses, agapanthus, any tuberous plants that are dormant, any grasses that you want smaller that need to be revitalized by digging up, like your irises you could do. I mean, irises you could do any time of year. I know, well, except for when they're blooming. You don't want to do that.
In fact, mine are in bud right now.
Oh, so I wouldn't do that. Yeah. And then go ahead.
I was going to say, while you're at it, go through your perennial garden, and now you're going to start to see weeds sprouting from seed. And this is a really good time to get those up, because some of them get enormous and get very extensive root systems. So if you can get rid of them now with your fingers versus having to dig, it's really a great time to do it.
Now you're going to see weeds? When have I not seen weeds?
Well, I'm seeing like a lot of sprouting seed weeds.
Oh, okay. It's like constant.
And, things that come up in spring and then they take over in the summer. So I'm trying to get them up before they become a problem.
Yes. Right now, that lovely oxalis is in bloom. The oxalis, what is it? Prescape or Kesp? I always forget. The yellow one, the one you chew on. The sour grass, which isn't a grass. Don't let that fool you. It's not cute. It's not pretty. It will take over the world.
Well, so should I pull mine out?
Hell
I have a whole bunch of them.
Hell yes. Oh my God, Bruce, it's going to take over, because one, it'll seed itself, but also underneath there's all these little bulbs that are just like multiplying as we speak right now. It's trying to take over your whole garden.
So in other words, it's already too late.
It's too late. Too late. Just, you know what? Just give up on your garden, move. Move.
It's all around one big
get rid of it.
Sycamore tree.
Oh, get rid of it. Get rid of it. It will literally take over your whole garden.
Oh, don't want that.
The only nice thing is in the summer, it is gone.
Right.
But if you're trying to do winter gardening, forget it. It will compete.
Now, that's an area where there's nothing but thick, heavy roots at the base of the tree because of something they did years and years ago. So that's the only thing that and iris is the only thing that's growing there.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not the worst weed. The worst weed is bindweed. We all know that. You have to agree with me on that. Followed by Bermuda. But yeah, so definitely, weed control. Weed control. If you see them come up.
Don't feel bad about pulling it, even though it's pretty.
Yeah. And, when I pull weeds and I'm training students, when you pull weeds, if they're small, you get the roots, just leave them on the soil as organic debris. The problem is sometimes when it's so wet, you leave a pile. Yeah, they reroot.
Yes, I did that. I had a big pile of something I pulled out and I left it there. Yeah. And now it's already, it's a big pile and now it's a hill.
Now it's a hill of weeds. Yeah. So you have to be, careful of it. So I do want to touch upon pruning fruit trees.
Yes.
Because this goes all over the place. Now, it used to be when your fruit trees were dormant, prune them all. Now it's starting to be, the diseases that affect cherries are more prevalent when it's wet. So don't prune cherries until it's very dry. And that goes, and I'm taking that and I'm like going with that. It's the benefits of pruning don't outweigh the risks of pruning when it's wet, if that makes sense. So when you're pruning, you're opening up all these wounds. Fungus and bacteria thrive in wet conditions. The plants are dormant. They're not healing the wounds as fast as if they're starting to be actively growing. So it's almost a great time to prune most of them because they are actively growing. They're going to heal those wounds, but definitely give yourself a week of 4 days of dry weather. And with this fog, that's really difficult to get.
I was going to say that this winter is like, or this 8 weeks of fog we've had. If you have made cuts and the plants haven't rotted, you're pretty lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but do pay attention to when it's time to prune. And there's a lot of information. I don't think we're going to go into specifics of when to prune. Just be aware it's time to prune. And that means, if you have a young fruit tree, you really probably don't need to prune. And a lot of times you only need to prune minimally once your scaffolding structure has been figured out. But you always want to remove dead. You always want to remove crossing. You always want to remove it to drop it if you're trying to keep your plants small.
Right.
So
because topped plants don't look pretty. It's much better if you get them when they're younger.
Yeah. Yeah. So really those are your February to do. If anything on your list?
Oh my goodness, I have a list this month. I would say if your flower buds are sprouting, if your bulbs are sprouting, you want to check for snail damage, slug damage, caterpillar damage. I've noticed quite a few of my very early cluster flowering daffodils are getting eaten. So I've started spraying with BT, and I put down the safer slug bait because I need it.
Yeah, so BT for any of the cabbage loopers, and then Sluggo Plus, which is the safer. You use safer. There's Sluggo Plus, which is the iron sulfate with spinosad.
Right. I use there's another product which they claim is non-toxic even if the animals eat it directly, but it's not Sluggo. It sort of looks like the old slug pellets, but it's not the metaldehyde or whatever it was called.
Oh my God. I used to work at a nursery stocking that, and it wasn't sealed all the way in the boxes, and it would just go airborne. And I remember it was metaldehyde, whatever.
Metaldehyde. Yeah.
Yes. And it would get on my tongue, and my tongue would go instantly numb.
Yeah, that would probably be a bad thing because, it does kill slugs. It might not be good for people.
No, I remember going, now my tongue's numb. What are the long-term effects
So I'm
of
saying
that?
for all your sprouting things, just be aware that there are plenty of grubs coming out now, and or caterpillars, and some of them are really already chunky.
Yeah. Oh, and it's also not a bad time to add beneficial nematodes to your soil. You want to do that in spring and fall. And we're getting close to adding sulfur to your soil to drop your pH, especially around your hydrangeas and your gardenias.
I've been looking at all my South African things and saying, I better start adding sulfur because I did lose a couple of Banksias this winter that were young. Yeah. And they were young, so maybe it had to do with too much water for the first year.
I think it was water. Yeah. Definitely think it was drainage.
And blueberries.
Oh, yeah. Definitely blueberries. If you're trying. Yeah. Yep. All right,
we should just mention the reason for adding sulfur is because sulfur helps acidify soil.
Yes, and then iron is more available. Aluminum is more available. Certain things are more available to plants when the pH is lower. Nutrients, it's in the soil. It's just not. It's bound up. All right, should we move on to questions, or did you have more?
I guess. Well, geez, we could just talk about February things to do forever.
We could. Not socially, because we don't have anything socially going on, just garden-wise.
No, our social lives revolve around plants, and in my case, pottery.
No, but aren't you having your Bruce's bulbs, bagels?
I'm having my bagels and bulbs breakfast brunch bonanza.
Yes, and I've added booze.
Has a bee in it.
I've added booze to that.
And booze. Every year I get I order from the old country,
Old
3 to 4 dozen bagels from Queens, New York, and have them sent out, and we
Yeah.
have a bagels and bulbs bonanza.
Yeah, last year I was on my very strict anti-inflammatory diet and I couldn't have anything. This year, watch out.
Well, we'll have bagels, bulbs, and New York style cheesecake. The reason it's New
Ooh.
York style authentic is because it's made by an ex-New Yorker, so you know
Okay.
whether or not it's good. At least it's authentic.
It's authentic. That's what I require. There you go.
So I will just add for you houseplant people that your orchids will be starting to make their spikes now, or they're already along the way. You might want to stake them so I like the natural look where they arch over, but sometimes that makes the plants fall over. So if you're growing your phalaenopsis, staking them is a really good idea. I would suggest if you like orchids but don't really have a lot of space indoors, you can grow cymbidiums and zygosepalums, which you can actually find at Trader Joe's outdoors, and they do very well. And some of them prefer the cool weather to initiate buds. So, and if you're seeing new growth coming out of your orchids, now would be a good time to start feeding at weekly.
There you go.
So that's about it for houseplants. Oh, and if you're like me and your plants have been sitting indoors and you have not sprayed anything on them, you're starting to see that the little friends are starting to grow on your plants.
Oh, they're coming out dormancy.
Yeah, so it's just they've been indoors for a while now, and there's less air movement, even if you have fans running, and there's less natural predation, or predation, if that's the right word. And so you might have to start spraying with insecticidal soap, or at least using alcohol to spot clean.
There you go.
And that's it.
Tips. Okay, let's move on to questions.
Okay,
I'll read the first one. Hi, Marlene. I purchased a mermaid tail at the end of summer. She said she just replanted and watered it. I don't know how old it is. Will it bloom? Okay, so I imagine when she says she just replanted and watered it, means the person she bought it from.
Right.
So mermaid tail, common name. I already knew sort of what this was. In my mind went to a crested euphorbia. And what it means, crested, so you have euphorbia, and it's usually euphorbia lactea. And then crested, anything that's crusted is sort of a mutation. It forms into a fan, so the stems just fuse into one. And it's also called fasciated.
Ooh.
Yes. But it's crested. And they're very much a horticultural desirable thing. So they spontaneously happen. Mutation could just happen. You see them in the wild. You see them when you're just growing plants. But people then have latched on and go, well, I want that. That's cool looking. And then so horticulturally, people will take cuttings, and to make them grow faster, they will graft them onto a different euphorbia in this case. So you have a standard euphorbia, quote, standard euphorbia, and then you have the fan-shaped euphorbia grafted onto it. Just like when you buy the I don't think it's called moon cactus, the one that doesn't have chlorophyll.
It's a Chimnocalycium cactus which has no chlorophyll.
Yes, and that one can't survive on its own. This one can because it does have chlorophyll in it. It just grows faster when it's grafted on. You know, a lot of people will graft rare, slow-growing cacti onto different cacti to make them grow faster. In this case, it just allows it to grow faster. Now, she wants to know, will it bloom? Eventually, yes. But the bummer thing is euphorbias are not known and grown for their flowers. Like cacti have stunning flowers for the most part.
Euphorbias, except for ones which have like poinsettias or the crown of thorns, which has little reddish flowers, they're not that exciting.
But they're not even flowers, Bruce. You know, they're the leaves.
No.
Yes. So yes. So this will just get little flowers. They're actually called cythiums because they're actually in themselves very small. But yes, it will bloom. When? That's hard to say. It's not like we're so used to like, oh, our cosmos bloom in spring and summer. It's not like that. It's if all of its needs are met, it could bloom when that happens. But growing this inside, it's going to be tough. It's going to need bright, bright light. You're going to have to supplementally add light to this to get it to bloom. And I want to stress that that's not the cool part of the plant.
Not at all.
No.
In fact, if you go on the internet, because I didn't know what a mermaid tail was at first, because I'm not good with common names, you'll see that the really nicest ones are the ones that are grown in very high light and probably a little extra dry, or certainly not overwatered. And they get a beautiful reddish, grayish color to them, which is much more interesting than any flower.
Yeah. It's the structure. It's a lot of succulents are grown for their structure and their stems, and the flowers are last, except for cacti, which have beautiful flowers. Now, she said she just replanted and watered it in, and to me, that just makes me go, because we never water our succulents in after we transplant them. We wait and wait.
Now, I do, but I'm not growing in greenhouse conditions. So I think that depending on how it was, did it have a good root system?
Yeah, it also depends on the succulent. If you were going to water in a sedum or an echeveria, that's fine. Right. The slower growing, I would wait. Like a mammillaria, like barrel cactus, definitely wait. This one I would have waited on. It could be even just a few days, just for some of those wounds to heal up.
Right.
So,
and that makes
obviously
a lot of sense.
It survived. So, and it's true that it's not like it's instant death. But it's hard to say when it's going to bloom. But I would just enjoy it as it is, because the blooms are going to be.
Yeah, you're going to be disappointed at best.
Yeah. Yes.
But yes, my thinking is, the reason you want to give it the better lighting is because you want that reddish color to form. And it really looks great.
But even then, inside, I just don't think you're even going to get the reddish color.
No,
this is just to keep it to survive. Even though a south window will seem incredibly sunny, it's not compared to outside. So a lot of people who grow succulents inside thinking they're giving them the equivalent of outside, it's not. And that's why they get stressed and they eventually get leggy and die.
And the thing about succulents and any plant, like you say, in a south window, is for about an hour or two, the light will be extremely intense. And I have a light meter and it measures very high, but that's only for about an hour or two.
Yep.
And that's not enough light to keep that plant growing healthfully. I actually have a very strong LED system, and I have my lithops in a south window.
Yeah.
And that's why they look good, because of the combination.
Yep. Exactly. All right, next question. Go ahead and read it.
Hello again. My once beautiful prayer plant is looking sick with its leaves all curled up instead of opened. I hope you can tell me how to, it says revise it. But in any case,
revive it, I'm guessing.
Revive it. I'm trying to think, what is the word we're looking for there?
Revive it.
To revive it.
Okay, you want to tackle this one?
Sure. The funny thing is, when you look up prayer plants online, everyone tells you it's an easy to grow plant. But it really is. We talked about easy to grow house plants last time. And the thing to know is, certain plants are easy provided that you give it what it needs, which means it's not really that easy. I think the thing about prayer plants is that they like the higher humidity. They need moister soil, but they really resent soggy soil. So you have this sort of fine line of where the plant's going to be really happy. They don't need a lot of light. And I've seen them growing at a friend's house when I was a kid. She had one for many years. It just grew on a like a coffee table, and whatever light the room had is all it got. And it did fine. So to me, the question is that it's looking sick with the leaves curled up. Well, we'll talk about that the leaves close up at night in a second, but my thinking is it might be getting too much water and it's just rotting out. That's just the first thing that comes to mind there.
No, I mean, I think you're right. A plant rotting with its leaves curled up, that's definitely, and it's true. Marantas, prayer plants, I'm just going to call prayer plants Marantas because that tends to be the genus that encompasses most of them. There's others. Marantaceae is the family. Leaves curled up for a lot of plants is due to root rot. If you don't have the roots, they're not taking up water because you've overwatered and rotted them out. Right. And they like moisture, but like all plants, they prefer air around it. So if it's bogged and there's no air, It's in most tropical plants want the same thing. They want to be consistently moist, but with a lot of aeration around their roots.
And,
Go ahead.
right. And if you buy these commercial potting soils, there's a real tendency for them to be mucky.
Mucky,
and
yes.
to not have enough inorganic material in them. So
Yeah.
I think that if you've recently repotted, or if you've just got it in the soil that it comes with, it's probably going to be this really mucky soil, which prayer plants, like most plants, do not like.
Yeah. So I'm going to go and go in a different direction. And I'm going to also say low humidity.
Right.
Because the prayer plants are notorious for needing higher humidity. Now, almost all houseplants come from the tropics. There's various tropics. There's dry tropics. There's really wet tropics. There's cloud forest tropics, which I guess aren't really tropics, cloud forest, but we'll call it. Yeah, there's cloud forest tropics.
Well, they're tropical.
Yeah, they're tropical. And Marantas just happen to be one that they're from areas of South America, Central America, but in areas where there's higher humidity than most houses
Right.
provide. And just some house plants don't care and they're fine with ambient humidity. This plant isn't. And at the conservatory, we had a big collection. In fact, a researcher donated or kept their collection that they were researching Marantaceae in the greenhouse. And over time, it's dwindled down, but we still have a decent amount. And for a long time, I remember sending students in and going, okay, we have an open house, go trim the dead edges off of these leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as we put a pond in and put a humidifier, we don't have that problem.
Now,
so they need high humidity.
And I agree that the humidity is a big issue for them too.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that this person I'm talking about, their plant, it never looked great, but it lasted years. She'd forget to water it. She'd leave it sitting in water. I don't know what she did. Maybe she had the patron saint of plants growing near it, which is unlikely because she was an Orthodox Jew. But anyway, some people are just lucky with plants, and you don't know why the plant does well.
You don't know why.
I will say I've seen this growing in water.
Yeah.
And it does okay.
Yeah. I know it's one of those where it could grow in water, but then as soon as you put it in soil and it's wet soil, it's not happy. But I'm going to go with you and say when you have really curled up leaves, it's got to do more. It's not 100% humidity. There's root issues going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, here's an interesting fact about prayer plants. They're called prayer plants because the leaves close up at night like they're praying. And so there is one possibility, which I am sure this is not it. Maybe this person works nights and sleeps during the day. So her prayer plants are always closed up because she only sees them at night.
Maybe. So they don't even close. It's not even that they close up. It's they stand
They
upright.
fold up. Yeah.
Well, they
really
fold
don't
up,
close.
but they also stand upright. So you have the really large specimens, and we see this when we have labs going in late at night, whereas the leaves are completely flat, 90 degrees to their petioles, and then by the time the night comes up, they're linear, they're parallel with their petioles, and their leaves have folded. And and I joke that I hate to break it to people, they're not praying, they're not religious. They're just
in fact, most
trying to shed
plants
the
are
water
atheists.
off. Yeah, most plants are atheists. They're trying to shed the water off because standing water will just lead to fungal issues. But it is really cool. And okay, I had to look the name of this because I didn't know. I mean, anything in botany has a name to it, and I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this, but it's Nyctic nastic. Nyctic nastic is when leaves close up at night.
Ah, did not know that.
Yeah.
One.
I mean, I can remember the Nyctic nastic, I'm sure. But yeah, there you go. So it's obviously a light response, which is so cool. Then you start going, how the heck? What the heck? How the heck?
I want to add that albitzias, or what we call mimosas, close up at night too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's related to the sensitive plant that closes up a touch. So yeah. All right, let me read the next. Oh, so how to revise it? What I would do is get it out of that soil and put it in a succulent mix. That's what I would do. Get it anytime you have a soil issue, a rot issue, get it out, cut off all the root rot and put it in new soil. And then just water less. And it might take time because those leaves are going to die down. Prayer plants go through this whole deciduous, perk back up, die off, come back up. So if anyone has a prayer plant, they're like, my prayer plant looked great. Now the leaves are dying. It does that. It's sort of cyclical. Okay, next question. Hi there. My name is Susie. I live in Escalon, California. I have a quick question. How do you take care of your air plants? Do you put them in water? Thank you. I hope to get a response from you. Have a great day. Okay. Yeah, air plants. Most of them are under the genus Tillandsia. So air plants are known for being air plants because they're epiphytes, meaning they don't live in soil. They live up on trees, just hanging on them, or they're lithophytes, meaning they live on rocks. Ooh, is that Ruffles?
That is Ruffles.
Oh, Ruffles making an appearance. Is it food time? Oh, geez, Ruffles.
He wants attention.
Give him attention, Bruce. How rude.
He's going to come and sit.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so yeah, air plants, a lot of like the Tillandsias don't have a root system. And how we water them at the conservatory is we water them with a hose every day, every other day. And we have fertilizer going through our water. So in the wild, no roots. They hang on a plant. The reason to get sunlight. They're covered, I'm just going to give my spiel, which I do during labs, is they're covered in hairs called trichomes. The hairs are gray. They reflect the light away when there's no water, so they don't photosynthesize, because when you photosynthesize, it requires water. If you don't have roots, i.e. you don't have a reservoir of soil, wet soil, to get water, you're in big trouble. So when they get rained, or i.e. you spray them, the hairs, the trichomes, become translucent and green, allow the chlorophyll to show through. Now it could photosynthesize. It has sunlight because of where it's growing, and it has water. It will photosynthesize. How it's getting its nutrients is that water is not pure. Say the plant is growing 5 feet down from the top of a plant. When it rains, the rain is washing off bird poo, it going through debris, and all that is like nutrient water, and it's able to be absorbed by the leaf. So that's air plants sort of in a nutshell.
And you know what's really wonderful is when you look at Tillandsias under a, let's say, not a microscope, but like a dissecting microscope, which gives you around 30 times magnification, you see the scales, and they're all a little different on the different species, and they have such an intricate structure.
They do. Yeah.
They're really beautiful.
Yeah. I think there was someone on campus who like collected just pictures of different trichomes. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, at work we spray them. Now, I've seen where people will dunk them in water, and where they go wrong is submerging them way too long. So all you want to do is change the gray to green, and whether that's from spraying or a quick dunk. And then you want them to dry out.
5 seconds is enough.
Yeah, that's enough. You don't want to drown them. And then you want them to be able to dry out. And you do want to give them fertilizer. It doesn't have to be every time you spray them. And if you have hard water, you definitely want to use good bottled water. But they're not the easiest to grow inside because they like a little more humidity. But if you do spray them every day, they're at least going to get their water and the nutrients. So yeah, just don't hold them underwater and drown them you're killing it.
I have one outside that's just been sitting there. People look at it, is this thing alive? And I say, well, it's half dead on the bottom. Yeah. But that's okay.
Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah.
It's near a mister outside in the summer, and it does fine. It's bloomed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say just mist them every day.
When
you do your plant inspection every day.
Yeah. And give them bright light, but you don't want them up against the south window where they're going to cook.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you see them in the stores, you'll sometimes see they call it enhanced. So you'll see one which is red, or should I say blushing of a pinkish red. And that's not their natural color. And even though some of them do color up pinkish when they're about to bloom, that's not what these are doing. So don't expect that color to return.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically it. That's how we water them. And you can I would also recommend lukewarm water. Don't dump them in cold water. No plant wants to be dumped in cold water. Neither do people.
No. Not in the least.
Okay. All right. Last question. Go ahead and read it.
Sure. So can I move a small queen? And we're going to say we think we mean a queen palm. Of the 3, I dropped 2 small ones 3 years ago and realized that it wasn't where I wanted it. Now it's starting to grow too close to the mature queen. So what I'm gathering is that we have a nice mature queen palm, and this person planted some nearby, and as they're getting bigger, she's saying, oops, he or she, that they're really too close together.
Oh, I thought they were playing chess and they knew I was a chess master and really wanted to know if they could move their small queen because it was getting close to the mature queen, right? Isn't there when you play chess,
Right,
there's a small
because
queen?
the small queen can move left, right, and up and down, but the mature queen is stuck in her position.
She is. She's got a bad back. She's got a bad back and can't really move. So that damn small queen can move like diagonal and all like fancy like. So.
Don't forget them. Don't even mention the pawns becoming.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to let you handle this one because you are the palm king. Uh-huh. Get it?
I'm the palm king, but I'm not the king palm.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so let's just say that, first of all, the queen palm is also called Syagrus ramanzothiana. That's the scientific name. It's one of the hardiest palms that you can grow as far as zone 9B. It usually survives down to 22 without any major damage, which is why they're all over the place here. They are very fast for a palm. Palms generally are very slow. There are some palms that if you plant after you're 60, you're planting it for your children or grandchildren. But fortunately, queen palms are quick growing. That's the good news. But the only bad news is that if you plant them pretty close together, you're going to have, before you know it, they're going to be crowding each other out. So the first thing is, can you move a queen palm? Well, it's only 3 years old. So queen palms, being very quick growers, are much more adaptable to being transplanted. They're more likely to regrow their roots. They're more likely to be set back for a shorter time. So if it's not terribly big, you could probably move it. What I would say is, if you're going to move a palm, you're going to want to take a big amount of soil at the base of it when you do so. Palms tend to have shallow roots, but they're also, some of them are very severely set back when you cut the roots off. So I would say in this case, even though queen palms are easy to transplant, take a good bowl of roots when you do it. The other thing is that since they're tall and have big leaves, if it's windy, it'll blow over. So if you do move them, you're probably going to want to stake them. So the answer is, yeah, you can move them if they're not too mature. However, I would say this: if your palms are, let's just say 10 feet apart, let's say 8 to 10 feet apart, maybe what you might want to do instead is create a palm grove, which is a very nice grouping of palms. In the middle of it, it'll be shady with dappled sunlight. So you can grow a lot of unusual things there that want some protection from the sun, some cold protection in the winter, and you'll have a really cool look. Yeah. But if really is, and finally, I guess I'm going to say this: if they don't survive, queen palms are cheap and they're fast. So you might even just want to say, well, I'm not even going to waste my time. I'll just kill these and get some new ones.
Yeah.
That's not the worst thing in the world.
How close is too close? Like, what do you think is too close?
I think 5 feet is too close.
Okay. All right. So if they're,
I grow some palms that are humongous. I'm growing a Bismarck palm, which is a tremendous palm, and you don't want that closer than 10 feet. And that's a very wide palm. But queen palms are not that wide. They are a little bit more vertical than some other palms. So, 8 feet, I think, would be fine for a grove. It's going to be cool.
And how would you recommend, so the funny thing is queen palms, I've seen more frost damage from queen palms and you said 29 degrees.
22.
22, that's pretty low. So now would be an okay time, or would you wait till spring where it's a little warmer?
I would wait till the soil is not mucky.
Yeah. Okay. So it's more of the muckiness than the cold.
But I think it's really important when planting palms that you realize that they're slow, but they get enormous.
Yeah.
And it's again, you have to know what you're planting. Queen palms are sold everywhere. There's really only about 5 or 6 palms that are commonly sold here.
Yeah.
But just remember the spacing is really important. But if you want them close, deliberately making a grove. Those are actually very pretty.
Okay. And then, definitely don't wait till the heat comes. And then as soon as you plant it, water it in.
Right. And then, some people, you'll notice, if you've been down to Florida and you see they put these developments in and they get these, 30-foot tall palms
Yeah.
that they put in, they will very often cut off most of the leaves to
Mm-hmm.
prevent transpiration.
Mm-hmm.
They'll actually build a structure around the palm and like a little triangle of boards holding it up so that when it does get windy, they don't fall over. And they're pretty successful doing that, but that's a very humid environment there.
Yeah. Well, I've seen them. I think, wasn't there a whole bunch of palms transplanted on the bait? Was it the bait? Why am I thinking of some bridge where there was a whole bunch transplanted? So they just must use one of those big tree transplanters where it just digs down and gets the big, because you see people selling large palms. They can be moved as one of the trees, and they just get this root ball that's more fibrous. When they're young, they're very tap rooted. And then
you see these in there's some palm nurseries in our area, and they'll have them in sometimes 4-foot tubs.
Yeah.
It's a 20-foot tall palm or a 30-foot tall palm sometimes in a tub, and you wonder how the heck does it even stay up?
Yeah.
But so they are easily transplanted from tubs. It's just that some of them really resent root disturbance.
Yeah. Okay.
That Bismarck palm that I mentioned, if you repot it and you don't really carefully get into the new pot, you can kill it from repotting it. It's just the queen palm is the easiest palm as far as moving.
Okay.
And, you can take a chance, but don't feel bad if it dies there. They're the cheapest palm you're going to ever find.
Yeah, they're everywhere. They're at Home Depot.
They're what we in the palm plant snobbery world call a don't plant it palm.
Ooh. I mean, you know me and palms. It has to be phenomenal for me to
I
like
would
it
say
as a palm. So
we need to do a palm episode.
Oh, I'll be absent that day.
Okay, there are so many amazing palms that you can grow other than the queen palm. Some of them are fast growing.
Okay.
I have one called a Parajubia. I forgot the common name. I think it's the mock coconut or something like that.
Yeah.
It's an amazingly fast growing palm, not as fast as the queen, but it gets the trunk of it gets very wide very quickly.
Okay.
And there's just so many.
There's some I do see some nice. In fact, actually on Facebook, a 10-year, like, remember this? And I'm like, was that 10 years ago? I was on the island of Nevis and I was hugging a palm, and I forget what palm. It had a green base, but I was like, oh, this palm is so beautiful. Or I was in the tropics and I'm like, everything's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. I think the thing is that you really need to expand beyond what is available locally.
Yeah,
and
that's it. Mm-hmm.
If you like palms, you need to either be willing to shell out a lot of money for a big one, or you need to be young enough to mean it's worth doing.
I think that's it. They hit their beauty, not when they're young. So it's an
10
investment.
years and sometimes more.
Yeah. Well, that is it for our questions. That's it for our to-do list. Of course, if we left something out of the to-do list and you can't believe we did that, email me at marlenetheplantlady@gmail.com. If you have a question, you could email me at marlenetheplantlady@gmail.com. Or, of course, you could direct message me on Instagram. Please follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And of course, subscribe to the podcast. And if you would be so kind, leave us a nice review or at least hit that 5-star button on Spotify and Apple. That just helps us, people find the podcast and helps us move up. So that way, when our book is ready at the end of this year, right, Bruce?
Okay, that's our promise
every time. I know. Every week I'm like, okay, Bruce, I'm serious. I'm really focused this week. Bruce, I'm serious. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So until next time, happy gardening.
We'll see you next time.